Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Spiritually Fucked podcast. I'm your host, Taylor Mulholland. Let's get into the show. Hello, everyone. I have absolutely no right to be filming a podcast right now with everything I have to do, but I just couldn't help myself. And the reason I decided to sit down and record literally last minute is because I woke up today with an hankering desire to get my podcast Instagram back up and going. And I really do enjoy editing the clips and posting them on there, but they are so fucking time consuming. And, I don't use technology to do it, I do it all myself. And so I have to take a 45-minute to an hour podcast show and put it into 1 minute. And so I've just been lacking on the Instagram, but today I woke up and was like, fuck, I really have to get that going. And I was going to give up on it, but I didn't. And the reason I was going to give up on it is because it literally has 90 followers and every post gets like 2 likes. And so I'm like, is this even worth it? But in the long run, I do think it is worth it because when people find my show, they can go to my Instagram and kind of just get a little taste of what's going on here. And another reason I decided to hop on is because, well, I fucking can. And also, I have been editing, obviously, my podcast videos all day. And, I'm in my last few days in this house I'm in. And I'm really, it's kind of hit me. It's hit me these last few months, but it's starting to really hit me. And I thought, oh my gosh, this is going to be the last few times I'm able to record in my room with this view and this setup. And that is so sad. And so I don't know what this podcast is going to be about just yet. I kind of like the idea of just like channeling. I'm stepping into my channeling era and just see what comes up. But mainly it's closing chapters of just us in this life. And it's been hard to let this little space go because this is the space I came to when I moved to Boulder. I've never lived outside of Arizona until I was 25. And so we'll start there. We'll start the story. And so I was 25 years old and my brothers wanted to move to Colorado, specifically Boulder. And I was just like, what? Like, I'll never leave Arizona. All my friends are here. I have a very successful dog sitting business. I was always booked, making money, just sitting around in these nice fancy houses. And I was comfortable. I was really comfortable. I was 25, living at home, but I was mostly living in these nice houses. And the juice bar I worked at for 9 years, which I love and adored. I mean, you spend 9 years of your life there. Was it 9? I don't know. I get lost in the sauce, okay, when it comes to time, but I loved my friends that were there, and that was closing down. And so that chapter was ending, and then I was kind of just looking out and getting advice from people, and mainly elders, and they were just like, you got to try everything, you got to do it. And so I was actually the one who started making the big moves in the moving for our family. And so for the person who was really fixed on their surroundings and their environment, I started to think about it and kind of opened up my perspective of, well, what would it look like if I did move? And I said, you know what, fuck it, let's do it. And so we made the decision to move, and then I was like, okay, I guess I'm moving to Boulder, Colorado. I've been here one time. I have no idea what the fuck to expect. And everyone I knew kept saying, that makes so much sense. You belong in Boulder. And I was like, what? What does that even mean? And when I first got here, I do want to mention too, like, my dad grew up in Colorado Springs, and his sister she's still alive. My dad is not. So his sister lives in Durango, and so Colorado's in her blood. And I said, okay, I'm going to trade my mountains out, my desert mountains, for some pine trees. And when I got here, it was, well, we'll start with the move. So anyways, packed up all my shit and move. And that alone, if you've ever moved in general, but especially moving to a new state and leaving your life behind, like that's a whole surrender experiment in itself. And I had to look at my entire childhood and say goodbye because we just held on. My family, we're a bunch of hoarders, okay? We come from scarcity, so we hold on to shit. And so we had everything. And so I had to say goodbye to a lot of things. And funny enough, I just feel like mentioning it because maybe this will come up later in the story. Again, this is a channeled podcast, so I'm just spewing whatever comes to my mind, but I had a box of designer jeans that this box probably cost about 10 grand. Like, we're talking AGs, fucking, what are the other expensive jean brands? I don't know. Seven jeans? There was none with seven jeans in there, but there were really, Rag and Bone, like all these expensive jeans that I've collected. And I had, I don't know, like 50 pairs of them. Again, hoarder. And I like clothes. I'm a Taurus. And so I had a huge box of all those jeans. And then they never made it to Colorado. My mom accidentally gave them to Goodwill. Like, 1 teaspoon shorts. Like, those were like the biggest thing in like 2017. But I had this huge box of all my designer jeans. And they never made it to Boulder. And, maybe I'm bringing that up because I ended up not having any jeans. I had to go and like buy all new jeans, which, jeans cost an arm and a leg, but I'm pretty sure I went to fucking Abercrombie and like it gave me an opportunity to redefine my style and who I was, and it was fun. And I realized I bought a lot of boy clothes, a lot of boy shirts, baggy jeans. That's just who I was at the time. And that's just kind of who I am. I like being that like rugged I wear boy clothes girl. But yeah, so it's like I moved and I like rebought like my style, and it was just this whole new discovery phase of Taylor. And it was Boulder. You can get away with a lot of things in Boulder. So it's like I moved to Boulder. I actually did get a job here in Pearl Street, and I just was like starting this new life. It was the same time I started doing Joe Dispenza's work and Kim Anami's work. So I was really reconnecting with myself, with my womb, with my mind, creating my life. And I was in this house. And so this house is the place where I created a new life that I started to become obsessed with. And now I am having to say goodbye to that. And, I'm saying this kind of with tears in my eyes, and my throat's getting a little shaky because this is a closing of a chapter. And not that there's not another page coming next or another chapter coming next, but this one was the one where I really fucking found myself. And it went through losing a lot of who I thought I was. Maybe that's where the designer jean thing came in. It's like I had this box of jeans that were really nice and fancy that I was holding on to, and they were gone. And I didn't have a choice. And I think that's what life teaches you, is sometimes you don't have a choice when it comes to starting over. Sometimes life will teach you that the things that are meant for you will always come back around. And when it's time for a new level of yourself, things have got to shed. And that could come through your mom giving away a box of your clothes, or your entire life burning down, or a boyfriend breaking up with you. But it's giving you a gift of an opportunity to start over. And maybe that's the point of this podcast, is a message for you. If you're listening to this, you're a match to hear it. is that it's sometimes hard to let things go. And so life will make that choice for you. And, I'm not someone who's easily lets things go. You know, I am someone who's lived at home until they're 30. And I'm finally at a point where I'm like, okay, Taylor, time to let that go. But it came with kicking and screaming. And I am learning that good things will always happen as long as you look through that lens of good things always happening. And, I'm entering a scary chapter. Scary from my past ego, I guess. From someone who is learning how to adult. I'm turning 30 in May and it's April. So in 1 month, I will be 30. And I'm moving out on my own finally. And, I had to make this choice without having a stable job. All my money comes in randomly. Like, I could make excuse after excuse. But reality is the reason I stayed here is because it was comfortable. But life is showing me, it's teaching me, and it's giving me the opportunity to really step in this new chapter. And, it's bittersweet. Life is bittersweet. And this is just a blip in eternity of all my lifetimes. If souls are eternal, I'm going to be here again and again and again. And I have been doing this over and over and over again. And this is just a blip in eternity. And yes, it's scary, but it's also really fucking exhilarating because I do get to start a new chapter. And I am one for nostalgia, and so I've just been spending as much time at home as I can, really absorbing everything I've done here. I mean, I love... Okay, you guys, I'm moving 3 doors down, okay? I'm not really leaving, but I'm leaving the 3-bedroom place I'm at. And I'm going into 1 bedroom, which that 1 bedroom will just be me. And so, we could look at the physical part of this house of what I love. It's like there's tons of windows. It's a corner apartment. I get the view of the Rockies. I get the view of the sunrise. I get to lay on my balcony in the sun, naked. Like it's got a lot of good things to it. And this is the place I landed when I moved. And a lot has happened here in the last 4 years. A lot of growth, a lot of mushroom ceremonies. Not a lot. I've done 1 hero's dose, 5 grams in my bedroom, which if you're on YouTube, you get to see it. A lot of combo ceremonies in this house, a lot of passing out, a lot of puking in this house, and I'm gonna fucking miss it. And it's bittersweet because I'm moving into my own place, but now I gotta pay rent. Gotta find out where that money's coming from, but yeah, I think this is just a reminder of remembrance that we are always evolving. And life is just as good as the lens you choose to look through. And yeah, I am going to be leaving this house kicking and screaming, but I'm also going to be kicking and screaming in joy for the fact that I am starting a new place. And, I think that's just life. Life is ever evolving. And if we think too far and ahead, or if we're too much in the past, it's like, where are you now? I mean, really, as cliche as it fucking sounds, where are you now? And I look back at photos at 27. I loved that year so much, but I was always looking ahead. And now that I'm ahead, I'm looking back. And it's like, why can't I just fucking be present now? What am I doing? What am I doing in this life if I'm not present? And so this can be a radical reminder for you to just fucking live in the present moment. As cliche as that saying is, why are we always so obsessed with making ourselves better for the future? Why can't we make ourselves better now? Why can't we change now? Or we look back and we think, "Oh, I loved those times, but was I really there?" And maybe this is a reminder for me. Why am I doing anything in this life, though, if it's not for me? And so I'm making this podcast today for me. And, this is the house that I started my podcast in. Do you remember little Taylor? Less than like 8 months ago. It was in August, I think. I was starting here in my bedroom, and I was just figuring it out. And I'm still just figuring it out. But thank God I did. Thank God I tried. What if I never tried? What if I never did the podcast because it doesn't make any money, or it takes too long, or I could be doing something else? It's like, I've really enjoyed this journey, and I have a documentation of who the fuck I was. And so if this is resonating for you, maybe it's time for you to make a little time capsule or a little time recognition of who the fuck you are in this moment. Because we look back and we see we were always becoming. We are always becoming. But when are we now? When are we present now? And the experiences that are happening around us without trying to escape them. Even if they're tough. Even if you're fighting with someone. What would it be like if you just stood in that and you were present with it? And this is coming from someone who used to dissociate just to get through the fucking day. I mean, when you're working 60-hour weeks, you imagine yourself anywhere but at work. And that becomes a habit. And I catch myself and I find myself doing that sometimes, where I'm just like, I'm uncomfortable where I am, I'm going to run. And I'm going to run in my head. And by that, I mean I'm going to think I'm not here. I'm going to think I'm in the future. Or I'm going to daydream in the past. And that's just association. And so this is a reclamation podcast of us just really embodying the present moment. Like, what's the worst that could happen if it's just a blip in eternity? If you are sitting and it's uncomfortable, how can we just relax a little bit in that? Just 10% more, and laugh about it and say, well, this isn't going to matter in my next lifetime. This isn't going to matter in 10 years. This isn't going to matter in 5 years. This isn't going to matter tomorrow. So why am I trying to escape it now? What if I sit in this moment and I extract as much as I can out of it? And again, I get it, people. I'm human. Easier said than done. But what if we practice this? And I'm going to give you an example of how I practice this. Again, I'm human. I dissociate sometimes, okay? I'm not saying I'm perfect. I'm perfect to my own standards and to my own source view of my standards, but, I'm a nanny. And when that kid's fucking screaming, you think I want to be there? When there are two kids fucking screaming bloody murder, do you think I want to be there? No, but I choose to be present because I know it's not going to last forever. It might be 2.5 hours where I'm literally like, holy fuck, when is this going to end? But I sit there and I just be present because I know these kids are going to be fine. And guess what, you guys? Once they're fine, once they stop crying or they fall asleep, it's like fucking ecstasy. Because you remember what it feels like to live in bliss. But you only got there because it took you to forget. It took an awful experience for you to forget. And that is the polarity of life. Is you can experience absolute bliss and ecstasy, but you don't experience that until you experience the opposite. Until you forget what that feels like. And that is what darkness teaches us. And wow, this episode took a lot of directions, but again, I do feel like whoever is meant to be listening to this right now is meant to hear these words, is life is cyclical. It will always be changing. The seasons will always be changing. I mean, can we please just look at nature for once? Can we please just have nature be our teacher and look at the seasons and sunrise, sunset, fall, summers, spring, winter, rain or shine, chemtrails or no chemtrails. Like, it's just always changing, and so are you. And so if you're having a fucking bad day, have a gosh darn bad day. You feel it. You feel it fully. Because when you have a good day, it's going to feel that much better. When you go high, it's going to feel that much higher because you were down in the fucking dumps. And I feel like I'm reaching my high because last year I was down in the dumps of myself. And maybe this is all coming through because I'm finally starting to see my worth again. I'm starting to see my value. And you know how? I started to see it through the lens of my parents and my ancestors. Because guess what, people? They chose me. Even if you were adopted, even if your parents gave you up and you were raised by your aunt and uncle, your parents still chose you to come out of their fucking vagina. Have you ever thought about that? Your parents chose you as a soul to be brought up on this earth, as did you choose yourself to be here on this earth. So why are we thinking we have to earn our worth when our worth is innately just being human, being able to breathe? Shouldn't that be worthy enough? And again, like I want to take it to the point where even if your parents didn't choose you and they gave you up, you are still here and you are still alive and you're still breathing. And you chose yourself in this lifetime. And so that should be worthy enough. And I've just been really sitting with it. It's like, okay, maybe that boy didn't choose me. He chose someone else, right? I didn't get picked for dodgeball. Someone else got chosen before me. But, my dad chose me. My mom chose me as their daughter, whether they were there or not, whether they're passed or not. I was still chosen to be birthed through them. And when you start to remind yourself and prove to yourself that you are worthy, you start feeling it and you start living it. And that's where I am right now. And I think one of my missions on this earth is for everyone to feel that way. For me to share my story so everyone feels that way, even if it's 1%. If you start to feel worthy 1% more every day, it only takes 100 days to get to 100%. And you might ebb and flow. And again, you might have your good days and your bad days. But those good days are going to feel that much better. And so I'm going to close out this podcast with the energetics of closure. Because when one door closes, another one opens. I mean, how many stupid metaphors can I say on this podcast? And nostalgia is just a remembrance to be present because that moment is not going to last forever. How about that? Okay? I want to say congratulations to Taylor for making it up to, I think this is my 30th episode. And I'm turning 30 next month. And I think this was really serendipitous of it being my 30th. And that life is cyclical, so just try to stay present as much as you can. I know it's hard. I leave my body a lot. I passed out on Monday because I couldn't handle everything I'm going through right now. I passed out 3 times. But you know what? It taught me to surrender. And that surrender to the present moment has brought me here right now, sitting in front of this podcast. And I hope something in this resonated for you. And I truly wish that we all are here to walk each other home. And to do that, we have to walk ourselves home and to share our stories in that. And so I adore you so much. Thank you for being here. And cheers to the new chapter. And cheers to you for listening. Okay? Please write me a review. I will leave that there. Okay? Okay, everyone. Bye.